Chapter 4, Multiplication. This is our Quick Quiz 1 review. Lessons 4.1 through 4.5. Last week, we started our multiplication unit. And in that time, we have worked on several different aspects of multiplication. We started with our shifts, meaning that we counted how many zeros there were when we multiplied and how many times we had to shift the number according to how many zeros. We also worked on powers of 10. Powers of 10 were very challenging for many of us. So I want to take a minute and review not only powers of 10, but also a couple other things that were difficult for us last week in multiplication. If we look at this, it says powers of 10 are expressions with repeated factors such as 10 times 10 times 10 can be written by using a base with an exponent. So if we look at this down below, we can write this with a base, which is 10, and how many 10s are there? Well, if you come back up top, 10 times 10 times 10, we can see that there are 3. So you would write it with an exponent. So you'd end up with 10 times 10 times 10 written as 10 to the third power with the base and with the exponent. If you multiply 10 times 10 times 10, we also know that that is equivalent to 1,000 because 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. And there are 3 zeros, so we have to shift the 1 3 times to the left. So that would be equivalent to 1,000. Here, if we look at the bottom, the ones down on the bottom, if we have 10 to the second power, this represents 10 times 10. And we know that there is the base is 10, so that's where I'm getting 10. And then there's the exponent is 2, so there's 10 times 10. And we know that that 1 times 1 is 1, and 0 times, or 0 and 0, there are 2 zeros. So we are going to shift that 1 twice to the left, and our product will be 1,000. If we have 10 to the fifth power, our base is 10. And how many 10s do we have? What's the exponent? 5, so we have to write 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 and times 10. And here we can go through and we can multiply 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is equal to 1. And how many zeros are there? If you count them, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's a 1 with 5 zeros. So add your 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 10 to the fifth power would be equivalent to 100,000. Don't forget to add your comma. 10 to the fourth power would be the same thing. Your base, fifth graders, is 10. And you do that 4 times because that's your exponent. So 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. We know that 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. And that we shift 4 times to the left because there's 4 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We end up with 10,000. Here we have 10 to the first power, so you just have 10. And there's only 1 because it's only to the first power, so 10 is equal to 10. And that's a quick review of the powers of 10. Now, I'm going to have you practice some of these towards the end. But next, I want to go over different methods for multiplication. We have worked on place value sections, place value rows, the shortcut method, and also the expanded notation method. So if we take a look at the place value sections, this is when you had the problem 43 times 67, which is given right in this box. They divided this up by taking 4 10s, which is 40, and 3 1s, which is 3, and they divided up 40 plus 3, and then they came to 67, and they said, well, there's 6 tens. 6 tens would be equivalent to 60. 7 ones would be equivalent to 7, so 60 plus 7, okay, would be equal to 67. And now what you are doing in this method, 5th graders, is just basically finding the 4 partial products. So now you just line them up. So you can see box 1, or A, is 40 times 60. 4 times 6 is 24. How many zeros are there? 2. So add the 2 zeros and you come up with 2,400. Box B, you can see, is 40 times 7. 4 times 7 is 28 with 1 0. So you add the 1 0. Here on the bottom in box C, you have 3 times 60, which is 3 times 6 is 18. Add your 0 because there's 1 0 here, so you're going to have to add 1 0 here, and you have 180. And then finally in box D, you have 3 times 7, which is 21. So now you have all 4 partial products. When you get done, you have to add all those partial products. This is a quick review of the place value sections. Moving on into the expanded notation. The expanded notation is much like the place value sections that we just did, except for using the boxes to find. They simply go through and they solve this without using the boxes. They still divide it up into 4 tens, which is 40, and 3 ones, which is 3. 40 plus 3 is 43, and they divide this one up. 60 plus 7 is 67. So it's the same thing that we just did. All right? So now you take this and you take 40 times 60 and you multiply that. 4 times 6 is 24 with 2 zeros. So you come up with 2,400. Second, they take 40 times 7 and they go across. So 40 times 7. Again, 4 times 7 is 28 with 1 0 is 280. And they go across the other way. 60 times 3, or 3 times 60. 3 times 6 is 18 with 1 0. So you add a 0 and you end up with 180. And then finally you take the ones and multiply them by each other. 3 times 7 is 21. And now you've got 4 partial products right here, which are going to be the same 4 partial products that we ended up with in squares A, B, C, and D right here. So it does not matter which method you use, you're still going to come up with the same thing. Once you are done, you need to add those 4 partial products to come up with your final answer, which here is 2,881. Our place value rows is much like the place value sections, except for using 2 boxes instead of 4. Here, you only divide one number. So you can see here they've got 67. They left 67 the exact same right here. 43, they divided up into 4 tens, which is 40, 3 ones, which is 3. So 40 plus 3 is 43 times 67. And now you use those boxes to multiply each of these. Here in the top, you can see they multiplied 67 times 40 to get 2,680. And then the bottom, they multiplied 67 times 3 to come up with 201. Now, instead of having 4 partial products, you're only going to have 2 partial products. So to come up with your product, you need to add those 2 partial products together. And you can see that we came up with 2,881. This is a quick review of the place value rows. Moving on into the shortcut method, you can see there's an example or a sample done for you right here on the left-hand side. But I'm also going to walk you through this one myself because this seems to be the most popular one that people want to use. I want to make sure that you understand all 6 steps to the shortcut method. Step 1 would be to multiply the ones. 6 times 2 is 12. So you have 2, and you're going to carry your 1. Step 2, you're going to multiply the ones times the tens. So you have 6 times 4, which is 24, plus 1, which is 25. So you're going to put 25. And now we are moving over. So we can erase. We're done with this one, so we can erase that. And next we are going to move over to the tens unit. When you are multiplying by the tens, you have to drop a 0 to represent the 1. So we're moving over to 10, so drop your 0. 2, and then step 4. Step 3 would be dropping your 0. Step 4 is multiplying the 2 tens times the 2 ones. So 2 times 2 is 4. Step 5 would be to multiply the 2 tens times the 4 tens, or the tens by the tens. 2 times 4 is 8. And then we need to add these together for our final step, which is step 6. 2 plus 0 is 2. Make sure they're lined up. 5 plus 4 is 9, which is 9. And 8 plus 2 is 10. 0. Carry your 1, and 1 plus 0 is 1. So your product here would be 1,092. Again, say to yourself as you're going through and you're practicing this, all 6 steps. Now, 5th graders, I've left you some problems here. Numbers 12 through 27. 2-digit by 1-digit. There's some 3-digit by 1-digit. There's some 4-digit by 1-digit. But then down below on numbers 20, 21, 22, 23, and so on, you start getting into 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication. What I'd like you to do is I would like you to complete numbers 12 through 27 at your seats. So what you will need to do here in just a moment is to pause the video. You're going to complete this in your math journal on a clean sheet of paper. If you happen to get stuck at any point, you need to raise your hand and you need to ask me for help. Now, before you pause this, I also would like you to practice some of the place of value that we went over earlier. So you can see here that there's 4 problems. There's a problem up above that we can go through and kind of fill out in your journal, and then there are 3 problems down below. First, I want you to do these multiplication problems in your book. Again, if you get stuck, raise your hand and I can come and help you with where you are stuck. At this time, I'd like you to pause the video. I would like you to complete numbers 12 through 27 using any of the 4 methods that you would like to use. And when you complete numbers 12 through 27, I would like you to go to numbers 56, 57, and 58 and also complete the one up top. Take your time, good luck, and I hope this helps.